think the simplest way would be just to do that kind of an amendment because it allows councilperson from
Welcome you to the March meeting of the
It's balanced right there.
Airport Authority Board.
That we've talked about it and that we're still exploring.
Thank you.
At large election.
Morning, Andrew.
David is out of town and he's asked me to chair. We'll begin by asking for a motion to approve the minutes from the February 6th meeting.
I did read the minutes, and I move approval of minutes.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes from the February meeting as have been provided. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, Bob, the first item on the published agenda is the resolution.
So each of you should have gotten a copy of the resolution in your packet for, it's resolution 2025-01, resolution adopting landing fees at Logan-Cache Airport. And for anyone's anxiety, this is only for non-based aircraft over 6,000 pounds, and that's as far as we intend to go. We don't intend to go to based aircraft, small aircraft. This is so.
At least right now. I mean, I wouldn't sort of totally take it off the table, but
That's what
this
this-
is what's being considered for now.
That's what's being
Exactly.
considered here.
Right, but you just said we're not, and I just didn't want to like totally close that door.
Okay.
I realize you're not considering it with this resolution, but.
Okay, I misspoke. This is what I'm just trying to say what's in this resolution, and
Right.
you're more polished than I am in this setting, so thank you, Mayor. Has everybody had a chance to read it? Should I read it all the way through?
No, don't, I mean, we've all read it, haven't we?
Any,
and again-
any questions from the board on the panel?
I do have a question. Do you have any estimate on how much this will raise from, again, non-based airport over 6,000 landing?
It should be about 20,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we engaging the firm to do the landing fees?
So with the current VerTower, the only vendor that we have that works with VerTower is this vendor that presented last time. Okay. There are other vendors, but we'd have to install another tracking system.
No,
we got VerTower on a grant.
Well, and they're on the state contract, so
Right.
then we can just use those without going through the
Yeah.
RFP process.
Yeah.
Remind me what their fee was of the 20,000. Is that net with VerTower's?
That's our net. That's yeah, and their fee is 22%.
Okay. So, and again, if this was a resolution that would affect the base people, I would say we'd have, a public hearing on it. But again, I don't, given the nature of the resolution, I don't know that that's necessary, but.
Are there any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll move approval of resolution 2025-01.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approved resolution number 2025-01, a resolution adopting landing fees at Logan-Cache Airport. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Let the record show there was one nay.
Who voted nay? Okay.
Okay, that passes. Manager's report.
Okay, so we've been spending a fair amount of time as the snow has melted, cleaning up FOD. As you snowplow, you're pushing all the snow off. It's amazing how much gravel ends up on the taxiways and runways. And so our new FOD mat works pretty good. We've been spending time doing that. Also raking back dirt, that's been pushed away from the taxiway back to the taxiway, so we have less than a 2-inch drop. We've spent time there. Snow blower truck is in the shop. The last day we snowed, we blew out a gearbox, and there's a machine shop in town that is manufacturing a gear that is unattainable otherwise. So luckily, the last storm of the year that happened, so we're expecting that to cost about $2,000, and then our antique will be back on the line. And I did send out an email earlier this month in regards to the ARF truck and the foam, about us having the wrong foam, and I've asked Robert LaCroix, he's the one who dealt heavily with this, with the vendor, getting the correct foam, negotiating with the vendor on returning the old foam. So I've asked him to come and kind of address this with you so you have real firsthand information.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Pretty well, how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. All right, so I'll kind of cliff note the whole foam saga, but the reason we needed new foam was the current foam is AFFF that was on the ARF truck, cancer causing for firefighters. So the state budgeted a couple $100,000 to dispose of the foam. They would do it for one day, all of Cache Valley. And so anyway, so we were in a hurry to get the foam disposed, and the cost for just Cache Valley was over $60,000 for them to dispose of our current foam. So in the mix of that, we were also purchasing foam for our engines, which is different than the ARF truck. The vendor knew that. They sent us the wrong foam to the airport. They have 8 55-gallon drums. That cost around $10,800 for that foam to be delivered. It showed up. We wanted to get the ARF truck in service, so it takes 210 gallons, so we put 4 55-gallon drums in the ARF truck, and it was in service. Well, part of this getting the foam, it has to be calibrated for the FAA, and that cost, well, we haven't got it done yet, but in the mix of that, I got notified trying to get the foam calibrated, and we realized we had the wrong foam. So in heavy negotiations with the vendor, they originally would not take the foam back. We were back and forth. Anyways, long story short is they're going to credit us the 8 55-gallon drums at the $10,800 mark, and then we repurchased foam, and the new foam is $16,940 because it's FAA and it's military grade, so it's a lot more cost. So basically, the foam arrived yesterday, and it's in the ARF truck when we're back in service.
What did you do with the other stuff you put in the ARF?
So they took 4 back, and then we're going to reuse the foam for training. That was in the ARF truck. So repurpose it for training.
Okay.
So, which is a benefit for us because now we've got training foam. The other thing that has to occur is to get the foam calibrated, and that calibration, which we haven't done yet, just so you guys know, the cost is like $3,500. And that will be, but that's required by
So
FAA.
it's gonna be $3,500 no matter, right?
That was gonna be no matter what, and the $16,000 was gonna be no matter what for the new foam, because that's what we should have paid originally.
So those will be allocated toward the Part 139 costs, correct?
Correct, that's it,
Yeah, either one.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, Robert?
And that's how I wanted to finish the manager's report with the heaviest deal, with the ARF truck. We are back in service. We do have the correct foam. We just need to do some bookkeeping to catch up with the 139 expenses on it. So,
Okay, any questions of Bob?
Bob mentioned we had our last snowstorm. Is that true?
There's possibly one coming.
No, there's some air traffic coming in Saturday.
yeah,
Fingers crossed.
we're hoping. Yeah.
We're open.
Good catch, Brett. I spoke a couple times today, haven't I?
Fine.
Any update on the tower cleanup? They started that, or they have an
Yeah.
estimated time they're going to?
So the award's been given. They've come in, they have cleaned out everything that needed to be cleaned out. Right now, they're working on getting a lift there. They have to schedule it with their company to get it in certain places for certain times. When they have the lift there, they've got all their contractors lined up to start Monday and end on a Friday. So the re-put back together part should happen all within a 5-day period. We've picked out the glass, 3/8-inch plexiglass. Apparently, where we had the glass in there before and we'd painted it black, apparently that weakens the glass because it attracts heat. So we've opted to just go with a minor tint on it instead. So one, you can see out, and two, it doesn't draw in the heat and diminish the strength of the glass, so.
And you don't know the date yet. There's not a schedule yet. They're just working on getting it scheduled.
Yeah, but it's coming within the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Why don't you go ahead with your UAOA report? Casey?
So, it was really great to be able to attend the conference last week. And I was really grateful that all of the airport employees were able to make it. I feel like we were all able to take something away from it. It was my first time there, and I felt like all of the topics that were discussed were topics that were really relevant to smaller airports like ours. Topics such as removing disabled aircraft from runways, airport lighting. We talked about airport software, airport management software, access control systems, and we were able to talk to vendors as well. And I feel like it was a really good experience. We've spoke with the airport management software vendor yesterday. We really like what they have, but I don't feel like it would be a good use of our money to purchase that software. It's quite expensive on a yearly basis. We already have most of what they're offering in a free state. It's just not all in one place. But we're also planning on reaching out to the access control company that was there, and they provide gate systems and code systems, so that way we can see who's coming and going off our airport property and try and keep the security of the airport a little bit tighter, which is kind of an issue we've been running into with people not letting gates close behind them, giving out our code to anyone who asks for it, and that's not really something we should be doing out at the airport. So that's something we're going to look into. We haven't met with them yet, but I feel like that would be really good for us. I can't wait for next year. I spoke with some of the board members and made some topics, some recommendations for next year. One thing I asked that we talk about next year is snow removal, since that's something that we've struggled so much with this year. I feel like it could be good to bounce ideas off of other airports in that aspect. Also, one other big thing regarding snow removal is we were able to connect with Salt Lake City Airport and speak with them about the snow removal equipment they use, and kind of, make a connection with them and get on their radar about possibly getting some used snow removal equipment from them in the future as well. And I feel like it would be a good benefit for anybody to go, whether they're a member of the public, an airport user, or any members of the board. I feel like it could be good for anybody. It's set up in a way that, everybody can learn something.
Okay. Any questions of Casey? I asked David what his takeaway was, and he says, I just wish I'd come 4 years ago. He says, because I have learned more in these 2 days than at any other point in my life about running an airport.
David Six, I think.
Yes. So, thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Bob? tell us about your studying on self-storage, fuel storage.
So, last time we were here, Scott Weaver, there he is, he requested to put in and install and run a self-serve fuel tank. And we formed a committee with Ryan Snow, Sean Milne, and Kirk and I, along with Scott, and we've been meeting. Well, we've met once, and we've had several. We've got a pretty long email chain, and we are addressing that, moving forward with questions and answers, and we're still in considering that to, and we want to bring something to the board at a future date, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
We did put in a application to the RAPS to see if we couldn't get some funding, right?
We did.
We're working on some pieces of the puzzle.
Okay, thank you. Lochner.
Judd Hill with Lochner. And also have Anthony and Connor here, so I'll talk first a little bit about the master plan. So really, the master plan is done other than waiting for, we need to do an open public house. And the last time it had been discussed about probably doing it on Saturday, April 12th. Is that going to work? Do we want to change from pencil to pen? But otherwise, the master plan is ready to be submitted to the FAA for their review. But we want to kind of wait until after the open public house in case the TAC has been very helpful throughout the whole process. The Technical Advisory Committee, kind of that representatives of the community, been very helpful and provided a lot of good insight, but this is kind of just the point of the open house is present, here's what everyone came up with, and I'd say pretty much never, but don't want to say never, that there's going to be any real significant changes that come out of open houses, but we definitely don't want to put the cart before the horse.
So where are you planning on doing this? Out at the airport?
Locations would be really dependent upon what works best for everyone here. They definitely can happen out at airports if there's space available. A lot of times they'll be in a room such as this. A place, it's just, you want to have it at a place where the public has easy access to come in and see.
Okay. And then it's gonna be on a Saturday?
That's what was requested. Usually we don't do weekends, but that's what you made a request of last time, or proposed as a potential, so we'll be here. If that's what you need, we'll be here.
Okay.
Do we still want to stick with a Saturday?
Or we could do it the Friday before, we could do it on a Tuesday, we could tie it with board meetings, county council, city, or county commission, city council. Really, there is no wrong answer. It's just whatever works right for you.
Judd, what's the duration and what's the format?
It's truly an open format. Generally, we usually schedule about 2 hours for it. We'll have large printouts of the airport layout plans and just staff there, planners within our group, to be able to answer questions. Hey, what does this mean? What is this showing? It really is just an open forum discussion.
Scott, when do you do your breakfast?
It'll be the second Saturday. I think that was April 12th.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Okay, so you were kind of tying it into something that was so that makes sense as to why you did it then.
Does the county council and the city council approve the master plan?
No,
Just the airport authority.
just us.
Okay. Because I think there might be some value in doing some sort of a presentation to both groups. But I don't know whether you have that within the,
Probably not in the budget scope.
yeah, that's what I meant.
It'd be for information purposes.
But is there, so you're asking for us to firm up a date, and then you'll, I assume, prepare an invitation, which we can distribute
Correct.
to our council members, and people can share it, whatever.
And you can serve breakfast, Scott? You're gonna serve breakfast? Absolutely.
So Scott, would it make sense, and Judd, would it make sense to have, we could potentially use our hangar to do something like that again?
That would be really nice.
Assuming we've got easels.
Yeah, exactly, yes, that's the general setup. Kind of go with non-electronic, just to, depending on the location, sometimes like you can't do a presentation screen or something like that.
Your hangar's also outside of the security, which again, if you're inviting the public, it kind of makes it hard to have it behind the gate. I guess you have a person there letting people in, but.
I just need to confirm, we're gonna do a little bit of construction, but I could hold them off if that's something that you wanted to do.
It'd be lovely to have it there.
It's a nice venue.
Okay.
And Scott's bringing breakfast. I mean,
Because you probably, I mean, in your current FB, I mean, you really don't have space to do anything very big in your building, right?
When we do the breakfast, we set the hanger up, tables and stuff, but it would make sense to move it because it'd be kind of chaotic with people that aren't interested.
And I have been to open houses where we've had 50 people show up, been to open houses where we've had 3. So
just
Kinda.
the last open house UDOT had, there were like 200 people there, so.
yeah, which is, yeah.
We had a great turnout for the electric airplane demo,
Yep.
so.
So
Okay.
you might have a lot of.
Yeah, and that's great. The idea is there's been a lot of effort put in by a lot of you for the last year and a half plus, and so absolutely worth showing off what you've gotten done.
So time, do you have an idea?
Other than the date, it would kind of be, like I said, about 2 hours is what we would schedule, but what would be convenient times, I don't know the schedule of breakfast or the hangar schedules or stuff like that, so that would be something we can finalize. If we want to go with that date, we can work out the very specific time of when, hey, this is start. That doesn't necessarily need to be this particular moment, but.
Only a month away.
Do you think your students will come on a Saturday and look at it? What time? I mean, you're doing breakfast, you're doing the hangar, you guys, what time are you envisioning for the breakfast, assuming it works?
We're on the breakfast 8 to 10.
Typically when you do.
Right after that, too.
It's gotta be before 11 or then it's brunch, right?
Maybe you do a 9 to 11.
Okay.
Those that wanted to bridge over and be, I don't want to pull away from your folks, but also if you've got some, they can come over. We'll help you with the cost. We're not looking to.
Okay.
Okay, tentative 9 to, or, excuse me, 10 to, what did you say? 9 to
9 to 11.
Good.
So
On-
is Janine gonna be the point of contact on the invitation then? You'll create an invitation, send it to Janine, and then she'll send it to all of us, post it on the website.
Can do that.
You guys will help get the word out to your students and kind of your stakeholder group.
And we'll announce it at city council too, so.
Excellent. Next things that we've got going on are some projects that Connor can take over.
Hi, I'm Connor Butterfield with Lochner. Just a quick update on projects at the airport. We've got the paint project pending if there's more snow or not. We're really just waiting on weather. If it's freezing at night, you don't want to paint. You won't have a good product. And then Taxiway Charlie reconstruction and Taxiway Kilo construction will happen this year. So I've got a scope of work for Charlie to be reviewed by David and signed. And then Taxiway Kilo, we actually have the kickoff meeting with the FAA today. Any questions on projects?
Nope.
Oh, and also been working with the FAA inspector to ensure everything's complied with as far as moving the PAPI power control unit and ensuring everything's in compliance. So.
Is there an update on that, or still waiting for the engineers to decide?
We are going to move the power control unit. So it'll be moved, yeah, so it'll be moved in about 120. It's, yeah, going to be moved in between the existing runway and taxiway. There was just some back and forth as to where it needed to be moved. So that will need to be moved. So we'll create a project for that as well. And
What the inspector first wanted was to move it the other other side of a taxiway, which would have meant trenching through a taxiway or horizontal drilling under the taxiway, so.
And then electrical
That was
issues. And,
better than,
You managed to come up with a more reasonable solution.
there's a reasonable solution.
3 cheers. Thank you.
And we're not gonna have the voltage drop that we had concerns about because
No,
of the
it's within a
distances
distance that will
Perfect.
maintain voltage, or not have voltage drops affecting the unit.
per the specs.
yeah, it'll remain within the distance that's allowable by the manufacturer. So again, that was part of the consideration. So
Excellent.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some references have been made to the event on Tuesday. We'll have Sean tell us, those of you who weren't there, share with what happened on Tuesday and what awaits in the future.
Well, my crystal ball's not that good, so I don't know that I feel great about prognosticating about the future. I think the last month and a half proves that you never know about what climates in the future. A company by the name of Beta Technologies manufactures, they're a new aircraft company, relatively speaking, and they manufacture all-electric CTOL and VTOL product. And they also, like Tesla, construct their own charging stations for their own aircraft. And just like Tesla, to use that example purposefully, they realized that they could just be one of many electric car companies, but they'd tap out on market penetration if they didn't also help solve being able to charge your vehicle away from home and possibly your place of work if you were going to go on longer distances. So Beta also makes their charging stations. They signed an MOU with the state of Utah earlier this calendar year to help consult together with UDOT and other stakeholders the best possible placement for some of those charging stations if there were to be a rollout of creating a small nexus of airports far enough away from one another to have some distance and to have some merit, where it wasn't just an equal, drive time versus getting in an aircraft, but tight enough that for service, operability, and beta testing, no pun intended, though I'm sure that factored into their name. So LGU has made it on a short list of candidate sites where they might put that kind of charging infrastructure. I say potential sites because the governor's budget released in December envisioned a certain request by the end of the legislative session last week. $2 million was approved for that kind of campaign. The charging stations would require infrastructure. That protocol has not yet been ironed out by UDOT or GOEO, the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. Those will likely be further discussions that will involve the airport authority, the city, the county, and if there's any kind of budget requirement to get power to where a charging station might be on airport property. And there's a lot of speculation and could be, so I don't want to overpromise. But this is on the heels of Q4 in 2024, the company and one other that's not really associated with them, but both being interested in airport property for bringing their businesses from back east, at least portions of them, to the Intermountain West. For Beta's part, there's a couple of production possibilities. And so they've spent some time, even so far this calendar year, as a follow-up to that Q4 visit, in the community, getting to know what our workforce possibilities are, siting potentially at the airport. There may be an opportunity for us to satisfy one of their production hopes that they're looking for in the western United States. Now, that's separate from the charging station, but I suspect that our great showing, that I want to commend the community, the Airport Authority Board was there, and City Council, County Council, and I thank the city and county for getting their peers that were also present, as well as a lot of folks that were here in the room, and other stakeholders that they wanted to hear from and have the opportunity to network with, USU and Aspire Center being among them. I think because of our good showing, second only to Salt Lake International by the amount of people that showed up at this whistle stop tour, we were one of 6 sites. I think that our attendance numbers hit all the notes that couldn't have been more positive. And as someone had asked, do you think that there was a gap in who they wanted to talk to? I said, gosh, if any more people had shown up with the time they had allocated, they wouldn't have been able to talk to any more people anyhow. So Just kudos to the community, so grateful for the support, sharing the, invite far and wide. The registration number is capped at 100 fairly quickly. We opened up a couple days later, another 50. Thank you, Brett and CVE, for hosting in the hangar and their willingness to provide refreshments to folks, and Bob and your staff for making sure we had ample parking if we were going to open up for another 50. We did, and within 48 hours, those other 50 were gone. And we still had folks waiting, including a couple that I see here in the audience that were hopeful that they could be there. So, Mr. Chair, Pro Tem, it was a fantastic event. I couldn't be happier with the community support that showed up, and here's to hoping we make that short list.
Okay. Any other items to be brought before the board? Yes.
Just wanted, Andres Wiesman, Baron with the Cache Air Fest, just a reminder that it's going to be on Saturday, the 28th. We just got approval from the Division of Aeronautics, and so we're in the process of getting our registration website up and running. There were some folks who were on vacation, so I was hoping to announce that today, but the registration is probably a week away. So that website will come up, but just a reminder, so the one day, it'll be the Training and Education Summit. Will be on Friday, the 27th at Utah State University. We're hosting that. That evening will be a hangar event where we'll have the air show performers, the open house aerial demonstration performers, and then on Saturday will be the one-day Cache Air Fest. So expect within about another week or so, we'll have the marketing materials. We'll send it out to everybody, and we'll start the advertising for that event. We appreciate the board's support.
This is June.
June 28th will be the Cache Air Fest on Saturday. We, just a reminder, we'll be working with the airport. There'll be a NOTAM closed. Expect that from 10 until 4, but there will be some periods where we'll release that to have some takeoff and landings. But it'll be a one-day airport open house with aerial demonstrations.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
There being nothing else, we will stand adjourned. The next scheduled meeting is April 3rd.